oh boy, oh boy, guys, I got so much news to talk about. I don't even know where to start, man. I'm covering insurrection after insurrection after insurrection from the left-wing extremists, okay? Something that, again, I've warned about time and time again on my videos, that the biggest domestic terror threat to this country is left-wing extremism. Maybe someday, right, somebody will actually heed my warnings, okay? And people will understand that, hey, we're headed to a dark place in this country because we've emboldened these individuals to be as violent as possible. But before I get into that, before I go off on that, okay, because we got another insurrection to cover here. I just covered the one in Kentucky. There's one in Tennessee. AOC, she got confronted on her lies, okay, in regards to what she said about libs of TikTok, okay? And she could not handle being confronted by Miss Child Raichik on her lies, and she ran away quick, fast, in a hurry.
Actually super transphobic, and I never want to share space with you. Thank you.
I am here outside the Cannon building. I was here last week because I attempted to ask AOC why she lied about me in a committee hearing. She cowered away. She refused to talk to me. So I'm back here today, 1 week later, and I'm going to deliver her an ethics complaint that I filed for lying about an American citizen in a committee hearing.
So AOC, she broke the rules. Believe it or not, there's actually rules on Capitol Hill. And 23 Clause 1 is a big one. You got to act in a way that reflects credibility on the House. And lying about, a U.S. citizen certainly doesn't do that. So we're filing this ethics complaint.
Let's go inside and see if she's there.
How are you doing? Just dropping off some mail for the congresswoman.
Hi. So basically a few weeks ago, AOC lied about me in a committee hearing.
Okay.
So I tried to come last week and talk to her, but she kind of cowered away, wasn't interested in talking to me.
Okay.
So together with Mike from the Heritage Foundation Oversight, he helped me file this ethics complaint. So we filed that. And if you can give it to AOC, I would really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And tell her to stop lying about American citizens.
Okay, have a good one.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just dropped off an ethics complaint at AOC's office, and unfortunately she wasn't there. So we left, and then I was walking through the Capitol, and guess who I bumped into? AOC herself. I just delivered an ethics complaint to your office because you lied about me in a committee hearing.
Oh, hi. Yeah, no,
so
actually,
I never
you're
inspired a bump for
No,
it,
you're
and I thought
actually
also for
super
myself.
transphobic, and I never want to share space with you. Thank you.
Wow, Libs of TikTok is she should be a comedian, man. She's pretty humorous. Yeah, AOC got super triggered, right? You're actually super transphobic, and I never want to share space with you. Oh man, these people, man. AOC can't stand to be in the same room with somebody who disagrees with her politically, right? She has to throw around labels like transphobe and, bigot and racist and whatever, right? While lying, right? While lying about people, okay? And when she gets confronted about lying, again, I don't want to talk to you about my lies because you're transphobic. Incredible stuff, right? AOC is the sorriest politician I've ever seen. Actually, I take that back. Cori Bush, right, and Jamal Bowman, okay, who both happen to be black, by the way. They are probably the two sorriest politicians in the country. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Doesn't have anything to do with their skin color. I'm just saying, all their race hustling and the fact that they quite literally do nothing and their districts are disasters is why they're the sorriest. But again, AOC is right up there, okay? So that being said, AOC, speaking of her, she should feel like she's in danger, right? She should be crying to Congress because there's been so many insurrections going on around the country, okay? We had one happen in Texas. I just did a video about one that happened yesterday in Kentucky in response to that state legislator passing common sense laws to protect children from sexual and gender radicalization in that state. And now these people are committing an insurrection at the Tennessee state capitol, this time in the name of gun control. Take a look. Yeah, so I guarantee you those police officers won't be receiving any awards or medals from Democrats, right, for dealing with that group of violent left-wing extremists. Now, you would think that the media, because they're so concerned about an insurrection, which this clearly is by definition. I mean, they got to the Capitol floor, okay, the House floor, and tried to interrupt a official proceeding, right, which is what they said was the problem with January 6th. Anytime you try to compare January 6th to BLM, you say, well, there was much more violence from BLM. They say, well, it's not about the violence, right? It's about the fact that they try to interrupt an official proceeding. It seems like that's what they're trying to do now, right? They're on the actual Capitol floor, okay? These people are insane, okay? These people are out of control. You would think that the mainstream liberal media would be covering it the same way they covered January 6th, but not really. I want you guys to take a look at MSNBC's very, sober tone about what's going on there in Tennessee. Take a look.
Flooded the state capitol building today. Take a look. You can see young kids among those holding signs demanding protection and calling for the end of gun violence after the horrific shooting at the Covenant School on Monday, which left 3 children and 3 staff members dead. And that's where NBC's Lindsay Reiser joins us from the state capitol in Nashville. Lindsay, I know you have been talking to people there at memorials, at the vigil yesterday, now at this protest. What are they telling you?
Yeah, Chris, hundreds of people showed up today. I mean, probably about 1,500, maybe even upwards of that, showing out. A lot of young people, a lot of young students skipping school, a lot of parents bringing their young kids here as well. And I talked to the organizer of today's event. She's a single mom herself. Her son's about to turn 5. And she said she felt mobilized to act when she saw this on Monday. She put the flyer out immediately. You could tell she was heartened to see the result today, with people singing songs, confronting lawmakers on their way into the General Assembly today, calling for some kind of gun reform. I've talked to a mother who lost her older son to gun violence in the Waffle House shooting here in Nashville in 2018. And she says she can't believe that here, almost 5 years later, this is still where we are.
Why was it important for you to be here today?
As a mom, as a believer of Christ, I believe that it is the love of Christ that has called me to be here, to be a voice for the children, to prioritize their safety. I was in high school and I wore my sweatshirt today from being in high school when Sandy Hook happened, and I remember all of the fear and the sadness and the brokenness that I felt walking through my own hallways at school the next day. And to know that here we are over 10 years later as the people with the same asking for our children to be prioritized, for their safety to be prioritized. I felt a duty to be here.
Have you talked to your 6-year-old about all of this?
I can't fathom even the words. How do you explain that to a 6-year-old? How do you prepare someone who doesn't experience violence to be prepared for fighting for their life in a place that they love to be in? I can't talk to them about it. I don't know how as a mom, and I can't imagine those parents at Covenant and those people connected to those children and the conversations that they have to have with 6-year-olds, with 9-year-olds, with elementary kids, with middle schoolers. I can't.
And Sakayla's also got a sign that says graduations, not funerals. So people are asking lawmakers to do something. There are several bills, Garrett, right now going through the General Assembly that would expand gun access. So time will tell whether the show up of people out here today will impact these lawmakers, Garrett.
Yeah, so there you have it. MSNBC covering this as a peaceful protest rather than an insurrection, a violent insurrection. Which is the only thing they want to talk about for the last 2 or 3 years, okay, after January 6th. Again, just another example of how, again, there are no standards for the left. When the left commits acts of violence, when they stage insurrections on Capitol buildings, it's totally fine, right? It's just a peaceful protest. But when the right does it, it's quite literally the worst thing in the world. Again, those police officers won't be getting any medals. They won't be getting honored, okay? Those protesters won't be going to jail. They won't be serving any prison time. They won't be doing any of that, okay? They're going to get away with it because they're left-wing. This is the country we live in. But it's not the left-wing media's fault. It's not the Democratic Party's fault that this is where we're at. It's the Republican Party's fault. Because they're not doing enough to set examples, right? These people should be getting locked up, okay? That's the point we're at right now, that these people who do commit acts of vandalism or acts of violence should be locked up. They should have done it with the Roe v. Wade protesters that were trying to intimidate Supreme Court justices outside of their homes in violation of federal law. I mean, quite clear violation. But they did nothing. They stood idly by and allowed them to do it and to basically participate in the same process Democrats are doing in regards to emboldening these people, right? Because that's what's happening. This is why they're not afraid of anything. They're not afraid of nothing because they're never punished, okay? They're being coddled even more and more and more. Okay, you have a transgender person go out, he commits a mass shooting against Christians, and transgender folks are the victim. Nobody gives a damn about Christians. Nobody say anything about the attack on Christianity in this country. Again, how did we get to this point? We got to this point because we've been too soft on these people. That's the actual reality. We've been too soft. These people have been emboldened. It's got to the point they were like, you know what? We feel so emboldened that we're going to go out here and commit mass shootings. They're already committing acts of domestic terrorism. Look at what's happening in Antifa, Atlanta, Oregon. They don't give a damn. They've been just allowed to do it, and we're not cracking down on them, and this is the reason why you continue to see this happen. Democrats have no problems cracking down on Republicans or conservatives. They'll throw the book at you. Republicans, on the other hand, they're like, oh, well, we just got to let it go. I mean, they're just protesting and blah, blah, blah. Nah, I'm tired of that. I want to see some arrest. I want to see people get made examples out of. Right? That's what I want to see. I'm all for people's right to peacefully protest. But these people have become violent extremists. Again, this extremism has cultivated itself to result in mass shootings. We're seeing these people commit mass shootings in the name of left-wing ideology. These people have been brainwashed. And Republicans have to stand up and enforce the rule of law and to make examples out of these people that, hey, this is what happens when you do this. This is what happens. You go to jail. You go to prison. When you try to intimidate a Supreme Court justice, that's what happens. The problem is enough of these people are not being made examples out of, and that's the problem. Now, again, when it comes to the issue of gun control, this is what they're protesting about allegedly. Look, here's the thing. I understand where people are coming from, right? But I don't want to hear anything about, oh, well, we're trying to protect kids when, people on the right have been screaming at the top of their lung about all the kids that are being killed in these inner liberal cities, right? By criminals. Okay? That's where, most of the kids are being killed at from gun violence, these inner liberal cities. Again, these people had as much smoke for the gangbangers, the thugs, the criminals, when they kill kids who, again, they're the ones that are vastly responsible. They're the vast majority of the ones responsible for killing children in this country. If they had as much smoke for them and pushing for laws that lock those criminals up, that get violent criminals off the street, we would save a lot more kids. A lot more kids would live. But they only got smoke for this when it comes to mass shootings, when it comes time to make a political statement about guns because they don't like guns. What we really need is crime control, right? We need crime control. But also what really blows my mind too is that if you say, okay, well, let's have some gun control. Transgender people shouldn't have guns for, X, Y, and Z reasons. Oh, you can't do that. You can't ban trans people from having guns. I thought you said you wanted more gun control, right? Nah, you can't do that. That's hate and bigotry and transphobic. So what you want, just ban guns for everybody? Yeah, that's what we want to do, right? That's exactly what they want to do. They want to ban guns for everybody. And again, this is just, it's at the point now where it's out of control. We've seen the consequences of it get out of control. The Democrats aren't backing down. The mainstream liberal media is not backing it down. They're ratcheting up. They don't care about dead Christian kids. They don't care about churches or, synagogues or mosques, potentially being targeted. They don't care about any of that anymore. They don't give a damn how many Christians die. They're going to keep ratcheting up. Republicans got to ratchet up too. You got to ratchet up. You got to start arresting some folks. Those people who committed acts of violence or vandalism at the Capitol, that went on that floor, okay, that may have, broke in or whatever. Hey, lock them up. Throw away the key. Just like they did to January 6th protesters. Lock them up and throw away the key. I'm just saying, you got to start setting examples out of these people. It should have been done with the Roe v. Wade thing. When they started going after the Supreme Court justices, that already told you everything that you need to know about how these people feel. and you let it slide. You let it slide. And again, this is why I can't just fully blame the Democrats and mainstream liberal media. You kind of got to place some blame on Republicans too, because we just been soft on them. We've been soft. And this is how we got here. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.